Stuka Joe here. Don't adjust your computer screen. The only thing you're going to see is the Stuka Joe logo because this is really not a video. It's audio with a little image there so I can put it up on YouTube. This is thoughts about where I'm going with the channel in 2016, what I want to do. And to explain to you what I want to do, I have to go back a little. I started this channel in 2013 in the summer after I discovered that there were people doing videos about war games. Marco Arnaldo was doing reviews, and I stumbled into a few of his reviews. And then Enrico Viglino, I saw his playthroughs and his reviews, and I say, hey, that's pretty cool. And I have a ton of war games that I never play anymore because I had become a collector. And I said, well, this will, quote unquote, force me to play war games. And because after all, war games are meant to be played, not to be gathering dust on a bookshelf. So I pulled out a fairly straightforward hex encounter game, Lion of Ethiopia, and I filmed it, and it came out at 2 hours, 14 minutes, 24 turns. And some people enjoyed it, and they told me about it, so I filmed the second game was the plot to assassinate Hitler. For that one, I even made custom components, and that I filmed in various chapters, and some people liked it too. And that especially is a rare kind of a game, a game that wasn't well received when it came out. I think people like it more now than when it came out. People tend to be more open-minded as to game mechanics now than before. So after that, I kept on doing more types, more games. RAF, and I did some GMTs games, and then I started to do, I did the B-17 series, which was fun, and then I started to do tutorial type like example of play games, showing the exact extended example of play in a particular game. That now more and more the games bring playbooks and they have extended examples of play. So I was showing that, and for games that didn't have extended examples of play, like D-Day at Taro, which it remains the most viewed video of the ones that I've produced. That was simply just taking the rule book, and I was doing the examples in the rule books, examples of particular game mechanics, and people for some reason liked that game a lot and liked that video a lot. So I was very happy. I said, well, this is well received. It's a tutorial style video. Other people, they comment, a video's not a way to learn a game. And in a sense, they are right. You're not, if you are limited to a video to learn a game, you're going to miss a lot of things because these war games have general rules, specific procedures, and a lot of exceptions to the rules, which you need the rule book. You need to read the rule book. But the purpose of the video is not to substitute for the rule book, is to give you an idea of how the game plays. And in the tutorial style, I think I've been showing more teaching the game, and I've been doing more tutorials and less playthroughs. So that is what I am trying now to adjust. I think I should be doing more playthroughs. And what I've discovered recently is that the way that I am filming the videos, be it a playthrough or an example of play video, is getting in the way of playing the game. Because you probably don't notice because you see the end product, but for every 10 clips that make it into the video, 5 more don't because I made a mistake. Because when I shoot a clip, I am also narrating what's going on. So I'm playing a game, filming, and narrating at the same time. That's 3 things. So chances are I'm going to screw up frequently, and that's been the case. And so one of my goals for 2016 is to change the way I make the videos. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to show the game from a satellite view that you can't distinguish what's going on. No, I can't. I like to shoot multiple clips. If you see one of my videos in 1 hour, there could be 150 clips there in 1 hour, but 75 never made it because I made a bunch of mistakes because I'm doing those three things at the same time. So the goal now is to do a playthrough in a condensed but meaningful way. Okay. In a condensed way means that each turn is going to take 3 minutes of video to present, and you're going, man, that's crazy. And I'm going, well, don't jump to conclusions yet. I want to start with a simple game, with a straightforward SPI, let's say Napoleon at War, one of those quad games. Play one of those that has 10 to 12 turns, and see if I can show a turn in 3 minutes. Now, in those Napoleon at War games, as well as many other simple, straightforward hex and counter games, usually what you have is one player moves his units, movement phase, then conducts combat phase. And then the other player does the same thing, movement phase and combat phase. So the goal is to show, for example, the movement of the forces, not one by one, each hex moving and we're counting. No, that will take forever. Actually, if you see my Civil War by Victory Games playthrough, one of those videos is 3 hours long, and after I finished I said, what am I doing? I mean, if I wouldn't have been filming the game, that video would have taken me an hour to play the game, maybe even less. And that defeats the whole purpose of making a video of a war game. So the plan is to show it in a condensed but meaningful way. In a condensed, I'm thinking about 3 minutes per turn. And the way we do that is, let's take a game that has a 33 by 22 inch map. I'm not going to show the movements from satellite view, because I could easily put a camera, overhead camera, and you see the whole map, but you won't be able to make out the detail of the map. You won't be able to read the names of the cities, see the terrain types in the hexes that are being attacked. You won't be able to see the composition or of the units that are attacking or defending. So that doesn't work. So how does it work? What I do is I divide the situations in three. For example, in a typical Russian front game, in the first turn, we're going to have, for example, 12 combat situations, right? So I will show the resolution of combat situations, the four northernmost combat situations at once, because they're going to be close together. So I can zoom in and you can see the units attacking and the units defending. And the way that I can do that is, in the first image, you're going to see the units that are attacking and the units that are defending. And I can orient, this is something I haven't decided yet, but I'm thinking about orienting the facing of the attacking units towards the hex side of the hex that is defending. Of course, that takes a little bit more time, but I'm going to try it. And that's the first image that you will see. It can be 8 seconds long. And you're going to see those units that are attacking are the only ones that are facing in the direction of the defending unit. Then I fade out that first image, and I fade in the final combat result table column. So you're going to see, if we're seeing the four northernmost combat situations, you'll see one a combat, an odds counter that I'll place on top of the defending units, but in a way you can still see what the defending unit kind of is. And you'll see, for example, one combat situation will be a 3-to-1. You'll see another counter of 4-to-1, another 5-to-1, another 2-to-1. Then I'll fade out that image, then I'll fade in the result of the combat. You won't see die rolling in the video. That takes time. I'll fade in and I'll substitute the odds counter with the result counter. So you'll see, for example, one combat situation ended being DR, defender retreat, another EX, exchange, another DE, defender eliminated, another exchange, EX, and that counter is placed on top of the defending units. Then I fade out that image and I fade in the combat result effect. Then you'll see, for example, that in the DR, the Soviet defending unit is no longer in the hex where it was. It's 2 hexes away to the east. And the German unit that was attacking is now occupying the vacated hex. But at the same time you're seeing that in the exchange, you see that the Russians lost 1 unit or the Germans lost another one. If it was a stack, the stack shrunk. And if you see a defender eliminated result in another combat situation, you see that the Russian unit is no longer there and the German unit has advanced into the hex, or if there's a further advance into more hexes, it moves into its furthest advancing hex. But you see that all at the same time for combat situations. So what is the point there? The game is telling you the story of what's going on. You see the development and the results of the combat at once, and each one of those 4 clips can take somewhere between 5 to 8 seconds. So we're talking about on an average, let's say 7 seconds, 28, let's say 30 seconds to show the resolution of combat in the northern portion of the map. Then I do the same for the central portion of the map, 30 more seconds, and for the southern portion of the map. So you see 12 combat resolutions in 1.5 minutes. So you see the combat phase in 1.5 minutes. And of course, the movement phase will be the same. You'll see the movements of the units in the northern section of the map, and that's going to take 30 seconds, maybe even less, because I don't need so many images. I just need the before movement and after movement. So I surmise that as to movement, I can probably show it in 15 to 20 seconds each section. So it's going to be, let me see. It's going to be 45 seconds, the movement phase, plus the combats, which we stated is 1.5 minutes. So it's going to be, let's say, 2.5 minutes a turn, But my goal is to have each turn shown in 3 minutes, and that will include comments after the movement and after the combat phase, short comments on strategy and what's developing, that sort of thing, to keep things flowing, condensed but meaningful. And that is the goal. That will cut down the number of mistakes that I make and the need to refilm a particular scene, because I won't be saying anything when I'm filming this game. And you're saying, what, you're going to do a silent movie? No. I won't be saying anything when I shoot the video of the game. I'm going to be concentrating on playing the game, and I'm just shooting the video for it. So I only have to worry about 2 things, not narrating. So since I'm doing 2 things instead of 3, chances of screwing up are less. And especially, I was screwing up a lot in the narration because English is not my main language, and I stutter sometimes, and then I have to eliminate that clip. So I'm going to do those 2 things: film, play the game, and film it. Then I put all the clips together, which I have to do anyway during the editing process, and then I'll record a voiceover of the narrator. And the narrator won't be talking about each specific combat and result. It doesn't have to be that way, because it's pretty self-evident when you see the combat results. The narrator can be talking about what's developing in each particular front, in the northern front, in the central sector, in the southern sector. So that's the way the game flows, and the game starts revealing its story. Now, there's going to be situations, special situations in a game that will occur while I'm playing a game. Let's suppose, you have a random event. So, of course, when I play the game originally, if there's some information that I need to have in the final version of the video, I'll use the audio of the original clip as a note, as a reminder for me during the overdub process, to then include that information. So that's the only use for the audio in the original clips will be to put like mental notes of what I have to say with the overdub portion, with the narrator. So I'm going to take one of those simple SPI games that has movement and combat phase. I'm going to play a 10 to 12 turn game using those guidelines. And hopefully It will tell the story of the game. And I think it'll make things more interesting for experienced war gamers. Just by watching how the game develops and how it is played, you can surmise, that a lot of aspects of the rules. Yeah, so the rules don't have to be explained in detail every time. So that's the main goal of the channel so far. Of course, those videos are going to have the music of my great pal Dan Il Duce Pancaldi. I like to do those intros, but that's just a minute intro. After that, I'll do an introduction for the playthrough, because I'm not going to throw the playthrough at you right off the bat, because it wouldn't be meaningful. So I would do like an introduction saying, this game is a strategic game about World War II and the Eastern Front. It is a hex and counter game. And I can show you components and say it has a odds-based table. It has a deck of cards that is used to conduct actions. If it's a card-driven game, I'll say so. Just to give you those first 5 to 6 minutes, a general idea of what kind of a game it is, what principal mechanics it uses. Not going to go into rules, give you maybe information about scale, those sort of things, and then introduce you to the scenario I'm going to play, and also talk about the victory conditions, because after all, we play games and you win or lose. So that is the goal this year, to see more of those kinds of videos. I will keep on doing example of play videos, especially in games that are popular or interesting games that come out, new mechanics. We're living a golden age of war games. There's a lot of war games out there, old and new, and there's a lot of ways of simulating conflicts. You have the hex and counter game. You have the the coin system. You have the card-driven games, and so it's almost endless. So that's the goal for this year. And I always count with the comments of my viewers and subscribers, because after all, you are the people who make possible the channel. And if you like it, say so. And if you don't, say so too. No problem. But I think I want to accomplish the goal of showing the story that the game tells in that way, in a condensed and meaningful way, because I think that's what separates the wargaming hobby from the regular regular gaming. I don't have anything against Euro games. I have only 6 in my collection, though. But can you imagine, telling a story with a Euro game where everybody starts with the same amount of tokens and meeples, and the meeple moved into the house and was able to pick a piece of wood? And I don't know, it just doesn't tell a story. It doesn't tell. I know there are some games that do. I'm not saying all, but your typical abstract game just doesn't cut it in terms of the compelling story that history always provides. And even if it's a lopsided game, even if it's the German invasion of Poland, it can tell a compelling story. When the Germans unleash their panzers, they start surrounding pockets of Polish cavalry and infantry, trying to extricate themselves to form a defensive line behind the Bug River. That's the kind of story a war game, even as lopsided on the campaign of Poland, can tell. And that's what drives me to do these videos. I played like 8 months ago an old Avalon Hill game, Caesar at Alesia, and I decided, no, I'm not going to film it. I'm just going to play it for myself. And it was a great experience, because I was into the game. There comes a point that you're so immersed into the game that you leave the game, you go to work, and at work I'm thinking, how am I going to get Vercingetorix out of there? Because the relieving force, the main bulk of it is stuck in the ramparts on the eastern side. What can I do? And you're thinking in terms of the constraints of the rules of the game. So you have transported yourself to that situation. That's what James Dunnigan calls the time travel effect. These games are cardboard, time travel machines. And that's what I like. That's what drives me and motivates me to play war games. I'm not a really competitive player. I don't care if I lose. If I have a good time and I immerse myself in the game, that's mission accomplished. So that is the main goal for this year. I also want to finish the Raid on Saint Nazaire playthrough. I think I owe my viewers at least that. And so stay tuned to my channel. Place your comments on YouTube. I always read them and I respond to most, if not all, if I have a chance. So for now, I'll be seeing you and I'll be working on this little project. And this is Stuka Joe signing off for now. Thanks for listening.